Do you feel you are open to hear fair criticism of your actions without taking it personally? Thumbs up to you if that was a yes. If though it was not quite a full-on yes, then keep listening to this video, because it's for those of you who are sensitive to criticism and you want to not always take things so personally. If you don't know me, I'm Rachel G, and I help individuals to nurture a loving, authentic relationship with themselves. Now, we all have something that we are sensitive about. What for one person may feel like a poke, for another may feel like basically a big slap in the face. Criticism is something that you and I will encounter. It's an inevitable part of life. So learning how to hear reasonable negative feedback without actually overreacting to it is truly a great skill to acquire. So just think for a moment of a time when you took something personally. Do you remember your reaction? Did you go on the defensive? Did you shut down and speak about them negatively to somebody else? Or maybe you had a passing thought such as, he or she just hurt my feelings, and what can I say to hurt them back? You see, often our reaction can lead us to more conflict and pain for everyone involved. I am learning to take things less personally without actually becoming too hard-hearted, and really it has been super beneficial. It helps me to escape those feelings of hurt and shame, as well as keep the criticism from, let's say, both sides really escalating. And so this is my first tip. Always consider from where or from whom the criticism is coming from. Is it someone you know, respect, care about, love? Or is it a stranger? Or someone who has always got something negative to say, or who you don't respect, care about, or even like? So, just something coming in. By considering the critic source can really help you decide whether the feedback is actually worth your time and energy to be listening to it in the first place. You probably also might know or have come across people who, let's say, don't seem to have a filter, meaning that everything and anything can come tumbling out of their mouth. So just keep in mind, right, that human beings, they're not perfect. We do make mistakes, and we can all be critical, even insulting at times. And yeah, we can say some things to one another in a heat of a moment that are not so nice. However, if you are always encountering someone who repeatedly throws unpleasant and hurtful comments at you, and it's never followed up with an apology, then this calls for action. And so this is my tip number 2. It's good to remind yourself that their pattern of behavior belongs to them. It's not yours. What is your responsibility is to ensure that you set up a personal boundary. And so what does that look like? Well, it's speaking up and saying that you no longer will tolerate the verbal abuse. Or it's considering that maybe you need to reduce the personal contact. Setting personal boundaries when it is, let's say, with a colleague or a family member is for sure 100% necessary, as inevitably there is always going to remain some form of connection or contact of sorts. But remember this, you can never change someone. You can only change yourself. Now, if you are someone who is highly sensitive to criticism, then you may have really high moral standards and strong values, which is a good thing. Only you need to be careful that it doesn't make you too rigid and too self-righteous. If you do or have been in the past highly sensitive, then you may have found yourself saying things such as, how dare he or she say that? That is just wrong. This is not how things should be. Now, whether that be true or not, fair or not, due or not, the fact still remains that the person said what they did, right? And most likely you still feel angry, pissed, annoyed, even offended because it shouldn't have been said or it shouldn't have happened. But in my personal experience, it doesn't help. All it's ever doing is actually prolonging the matter, and the issue just gets larger and larger and larger, and that truly is unnecessary. So my tip here in such circumstances is to turn and move your attention away from whether it should or shouldn't have been said, and focus instead to the content of what was said. Why is this? Well, let me explain. Maybe you're somebody who tries their best to be perfect in order to avoid criticism. So when you receive criticism, naturally, that's going to kind of hit you hard. What is important to remember here is that criticizing perfectionism is not criticizing you as a person. You can make the choice to go and re-look at that critical comment and see it as a signal that it's time to maybe accept that you aren't perfect. In fact, you are just good enough as you are, flaws in all. And another reason to look at the content of what is said is maybe you are hypersensitive to comments because they bring up past memories and hurts that run deep with you. Acknowledge that. It's okay. Becoming aware of and recognizing that these are triggers, you can then start to own them. And even better, you maybe even be able to start healing. So I hope that this has helped, and I'd love you to share your comments on this subject below. And just remember that being open to criticism and choosing to accept negative feedback about yourself from the right source, in my books, is always going to be an opportunity to work on yourself and become a healthier adult, and of course, to have a better relationship with yourself. So if you need any coaching because you are recognizing that maybe there is some stuff that you want to work on so that you can have a better relationship with yourself, then please contact me for a 30-minute free call, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.